Good morning. So, I think I want to try something a little different. I've been, going through some things, and when you go through some things, you want to try some things. So this is something I'm trying. I have spent the better part of the morning trying to get my camera rigged out. This is a different camera than I use for my other videos, but this is more of a portable camera with my audio and stuff, and I haven't really tried it, but I'm finding out that I have all these things that I needed to fix about it. Like my microphone is pointing this way over my shoulder instead of at my face, so I'm just going to try some things to see if this even works. But I wanted to do some more vlogging style videos and take you into my process for writing more so as I go through the edit of Where Magic Slept, but then also I've been starting a new novel. I just solidified which one I want to go after next and want to share that process with you from kind of start to finish without giving away all the details, which is always a struggle. Like how do you do that while still sharing stuff that's good? So just sitting out in the backyard for a little bit, thinking about this, de-stressing after trying to get this camera rigged up. Is really simple. I used to be in film, so this is not a complicated thing, but when you have hot shoes and you didn't know they were hot shoes and you buy a cold shoe microphone, it creates problems. So then you got to rig up your microphone using something you used to use for your gimbal, and so the microphone, instead of being on top of the camera, is on the bottom of the camera, pointing the wrong direction because it's not meant to be that way, but I rigged it up so I could test it. So this is really just a test video, but if it goes well, it looks good, then I'll probably bring this out into the writing process. I was starting to do a plot and outline of the novel yesterday, which I've not done. So that's something I'm trying this, every novel I do, I'm trying new things, trying to be more of a plotter than a pantser, trying to have some beats laid out so I know where I'm going. The Where Magic Slept was a short story that I expanded, but then at around, the third act was all new, so I had a story but it wasn't complete. So I had a template sort of beats that I wanted to. It was about 13,000 words, and I expanded that to 123,000 now. That was at 135, but I'm down to 123 with the edits, and that's my own edit. Now with my editor, I'm dropping some more, but we're only into chapter 6, so I will clue you in on that process. I will also share more about this new novel, which is going to be more lit fiction and dealing with some of the fears that I have about losing myself. Not necessarily through words, but I talked in the last video about that's a core fear of mine, and I had a friend tell me that, lean into that. And so I'm going to, not in a way that's going to be expose me to too much. I think you need to touch the fire of who you are and where the pain lies, and use your novel writing, or use mine, to deal with some of those things in a way you haven't. So it's a good thing, because it's going to be telling my military story in a totally different way. The first novel I ever wrote was The Red King, and that was very much a science fiction, dystopian telling of soldiers coming home from war to a country that had been taken over by the president who suspended democracy and named himself the Red King. And what happens after that? It's sort of like the start of 1984. What was that like? And it goes in a different direction, but it's something I might go back to and look at for this novel to see, like, what did I do well with the military side of it, and how can I repurpose some of those stories to tell a better story that is a lot more human and deals with this idea of patriotism, as well as what is honor and what happens when, for honor, we start to sacrifice bits of ourselves to fit it. And what is the cost of that? What's the end result? So that's where I'm going with this novel, and doing a little bit of outlining, a lot of outlining, is going to be part of that. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to go take a shower, because I have not bathed. I just dropped my kids off from school. From school? No, I dropped them off at school. I'll drop them off from school at my house later today. But I'm going to go take a shower, make some coffee, and then I'm going to get to writing. We're back down in the construction den. This is my favorite place. It is under construction, as you can see, all the seams there and all the extra drywall and bits and fun things. But it is my cozy, safe space for writing and creating, and I love it. And one day it's going to be amazing. I just imagine dark woods, very, very homey, very cozy. I got my backyard out there. This is my favorite spot in the house. So this is where I do basically all my writing. But really, the goal today is get a pretty solid outline, or at least an idea. There's gonna be so much to fill in when you're writing a story, but there's like some general ideas that you want to convey and some general beats. I want to get the main beats roughly in. And that might change. Everything is subject to change, but I think I know roughly 4 or 5 major things that I want to have happen, that I want to get to, and I want to tentpole those things today and start stitching together a few scene ideas and then build from there. I tend to enjoy going through the process of having some things written on the page and then getting to them as I get to them. So I'm filling in space until I get to the next beat, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm switching to this, and then I go back and I flesh it out more and more and more and more. And it builds and builds and builds. But I'm still trying to figure out my own style, my own process, and I think that's everybody. So today I'm feeling decent, I'm feeling hopeful. So I talked to a couple friends, got some ideas, and now I'm going to apply them. And after I got rid of this funk of not having ideas, of not creating and just being stuck to where magic slept, for months maybe, because I'm not going to be able to publish it in the next few weeks and move on to a new project. That's very silly of me to think if that's the case. But I do need to start working on another project, even if I don't release it, or even if I'm getting really good progress and the first Where Magic Slept novel works really well and I have to get back to that series, the Split Root Chronicles, and write book 2. I don't know, but I can't play that game. I need to create right now. And giving myself permission to do that has seemed to help. I'm also doing some journaling, not really that much journaling, but just tracking some biometric data to see if there's correlations between what I'm doing and mood disordered swings and stuff. Because this whole thing of life is figuring things out, getting data points, understanding why something happens and what the environment has to be for it to happen. And you're going to do this for your characters as well. Like, I'm trying to figure out, my main character's name is Evan Ashford in this new novel, which I'm titling The Face of Honor, because it deals with being a soldier and earning honor and fighting for that, and what does it cost you, and do you really get it? And there's a lot of themes there, but I have to figure out some things about his life for me to make him a compelling character, and same with the other characters. So when you reflect on your own life, you're actually doing work on yourself, but you're also doing work for becoming a better author, a better artist. So I'm going to jump into this, and if I have any big takeaways that I want to share with you guys or jump back in, I'll do it. And again, thanks for joining me on this little experiment called vlogging, a writing vlog number 1. So here's where we're at. I'm using Scrivener again. I just like the feature here for outlining and putting in like the corkboard kind of stuff. I don't have that in other places, so this is what I worked on today. I'm trying to keep it blurry so that you can't see what my beats are, but I have a rough outline of a bulk of the first act and a tiny bit of the second and one beat of the third. I'm pretty sure I know how I want it to end. So this is what I accomplished just in this little morning. Well, that was fun. I just sat here for 15 minutes or so recording nothing because I didn't hit record. So let's try this again. And the problem is, I don't know what I even said. So I'm going to make something else up. And whatever it is, hopefully it's somewhat close to what I said. I have been writing this morning, and it has been good. I've been outlining things, and I've been using Scrivener, which I don't typically use. But that is done. I have a working outline of this thing, and I'm excited about it because I realize that creativity is something I wasn't connecting to, and I think that that's a lot of where I get really low. I believe I have this channel of creativity. I think we all do, of whatever our passions are, and it has to stay open even if we're not using it in a professional sense. But when that isn't being used and I'm in these edits and I'm in the revisions and I'm being shown all of the things that I need to work on and that I did wrong, this channel closes and then this channel opens, which is the negative, saying you can't do this, you're not able to. And that is helpful information. I have to hear that. I have to get better because I'm not great. And I want to be great. So this channel is valid, but I need to stay connected with that. So that's the motivation of starting a new novel, of working on this and getting more story out. And it's going to be different because Where Magic Slept, fantasy, different voice, very poetic, I wanted it to be poetic. This is a lot more straightforward in first person. It's going to be written with some improper English. So it's more written in the way he speaks. Evan is my main character, Evan Ashford. And there's going to be a lot of different shifts where he starts out ideological, bright-eyed. The narration is going to then change as life kind of hits him. And I want that to be a very slow process, but it's something I'm not done. So it's a new challenge. But feeling connected to that creativity again has given me so much more hope. And I don't know if this is fact, but what it feels like to me now is, even if my fear said, if you start a new project, you'll be distracted on where magic slept and you won't do stuff with it, I think there's a way to manage it. Because if this truly is what helps me by continuing to work on a project while I'm in edits here, and I can maintain both, then I think that's going to be the best recipe for me. Now, with this process of getting Where Magic Slept done, which I'm in chapter 6, Keith, my editor, is, so we've got a long way to go. But I do accept the YA title right now. We'll see where it ends up. It's not as scary to me anymore. I really do think it is unfair to shoehorn yourself into a genre age group. I mean, young adult, that to me is so blurred, and it doesn't mean I'm inept. I'm subdued intellectually because I might prefer this novel that is YA compared to this epic fantasy. That doesn't say anything about your intelligence or mine. It just is a preference thing. What do you want out of this reading experience? And so I don't know where I fall into that. I'm kind of in between. This novel that I'm working on, I'm calling it The Face of Honor, and that's going to be lit fiction, and that's probably going to be adult. But again, it's young adult too. Screw it. It's going to be a book. Okay. It's going to be a novel, and I'm going to say, screw it. Like, I don't care anymore what it is. And if people want to judge me because of it being a young adult versus adult, then that's not really on me. That's kind of their issue, but it is one of those stupid things that holds me back, because I'm trying to control an image of how I'm perceived or some shit, and I'm going to modify things. And I'm like, it's exhausting, and I've done it my whole life, and it's time to stop fully doing that. And not that I'm lying about who I am, but I hide certain things. But everything you've seen of me has been real. So it's this weird thing where it's more of an internal thing that has to shift for me to really lean into who I am fully, and not be afraid of the people that are going to not like it because of the way I live my life, or how I feel about certain things, or what impacts me. You know, I've dealt with that, like I said, my whole life. And I even joined the Army because of it, where I was like, hey, if I join the Army, everyone will know I'm a man. And that wasn't true. That did not change that internal struggle of my own confusion with masculinity, how it presents in the world, or how the social society wants to see it, and how I present it. You know, and so being a writer, being a stay-at-home dad, well, my wife works in construction as a project manager and superintendent. She knows everything about houses. I know nothing, you know, and so guys would come to the house and for working on our furnace, and would be talking to us, but they'd be looking at me, and I'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then my wife would answer, and then slowly they would pivot and talk to her. And it was always awkward, because you could tell they were like, but you're the man. You should know these things. And I'm like, I don't. I'm good at other stuff. That's just who I am. So I'm sorry. Talk to my wife about this. I don't really care. I want to do that fearlessly, whether it's my writing or my living my life. I just don't want to feel ashamed of who I am. And this novel, The Face of Honor, is in part dealing with that, the sacrificing of who you are to get some kind of result. And what does it cost you at the end of your life? So that is going to be a deep exploration of things that I've suffered with my whole life in a fictionalized, borrowing from reality way. Back to Where Magic Slept, I don't know who would pick this book up. I don't know who would buy it, self-published or mass-produced, but I know I want to get there. I'm committed to it, but I'm also investing money into it that I'm trying to be smart about, so I don't overextend our finances, to be a good steward of those finances, but also don't spend all this money and only sell 5 copies. What I've thought about is, people do Patreons, and they do YouTube subscriptions, communities. There's something that you can buy and have a community with your subscribers. I've never felt good about doing that, and I'm still not. But what I was thinking about yesterday was, if I write a good book, like it's not just trash and, just buy my book. If I write a good book and have people support me and they buy the book, that sort of is like a membership service to me. And I hope to create value in what I write where it would be like, yeah, heck yeah, I want to invest in this process. I want to support you. And that's who I want to find. The people who are invested in the journey. That's why I'm trying this is, yeah, vlogging can be fun. I've never done it, but I want to invest more in my writing process, less in reading stories because I don't have a lot of time when I'm writing. I don't have a lot of time. So I'm reading 1 or 2 books a month. I'll give reviews on those, but that's going to be a smaller part of my channel. And as I'm between chapters and I'm reading or writing, it's still like the time I connect with you is in between those moments. And I want to do more of that. That's what I want this channel to be. And that might limit my viewership. That might turn a lot of people off, but I hope it turns people on and into the channel because they're invested in that part of my life. And for whatever reason, because they're writing, because they're interested, they think I'm creative, they like my style. Whatever the reason is, the story sounds compelling. I want those people to find me. I want to find those people, and I want to dig in with those people and make something worthy of their money to buy my book. And that would be ideal if I could find a way to monetize that, to sell my books, to then have that fund the next project. So it's a less of a financial investment for book 2, whatever that is. Working on this novel, The Face of Honor, alongside editing Where Magic Slept has been good for me in these early days. It might get bad. I might have less time to write a new novel because my old novel is requiring more attention, and that's okay. I still think it's going to be healthy for me to co-create these 2 books. But I realize there's going to be a time where I might have to set one down and focus on the other. But I'm happy to be going along this path. I'm going to share the real, the raw, the good, the bad through this stuff. I think it all has a place, and I want to be authentic and real with you guys, whatever that looks like. I have been real, but I haven't been fully transparent on certain things. And I think that's where I get myself in trouble, is because I want to write a novel, but I can't end it because I don't know the outcome of my own story. I haven't solved certain things. So in some ways, my life isn't a tragedy, but there's tragic elements that haven't resolved. And so I didn't want to write a book like that, but now I realize that might be what I need to do. And through writing that, maybe there is solutions at the end of it, but it's not the ending of that story. It's just the ending of that part. And that's the novel. And you get to figure out what that means to you. I don't know. I'm playing, guys. I'm playing with it. I'm trying to figure it out, trying to understand myself better, my writing style, what I'm passionate about, how I need to tell a story, what the core wounds that I draw from in my own life to put into my story, like the fear of losing myself, or what is it to become a man? These are topics that I'd like to wrestle with, the psychological implications of all of these things. And I live it every day. So I have a lot of material I can draw from. I just need to learn to be better at telling that story so that you feel it and not just me. And so I'm invested in that. I'm committed to that. And I really appreciate those of you who stick around, who comment. I want to engage with you there. I'm not great at community building. I'm not great at friendship development, but I do want to invest, and I'm trying. And I appreciate you guys commenting because it helps me develop the ability to have dialogue through conversations that way that aren't just on Zoom calls or whatever other platform, Discord and stuff like that. I'm terrible. I'm really bad at it because time goes by and I don't invest in those places. And I want to be better about it, but it might take me a long time. So thank you for investing in your time into me, because one of the most valuable resources we have is time, and anyone who gives me time, I am honored by it, because I know there's a lot of stuff that you could be doing. So thank you for hanging out with me. If you made it this far, thank you even more, because that's a big deal. Keep coming back, please. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what questions you have, and I will do my best to get that stuff created. But that's going to do it for this video. Vlog number 1. I hope to do more of these if they resonate with you, if you enjoy them. They might evolve. They might stay the same. I don't know. But I'm going to give it a shot, guys. I am going to move forward, hopefully with you, and grow this community. And it's not much of a community. I realize, like I said, I'm not good at it, but I'm trying, and I want to get better. But thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, journey well, my friends. God, I hope I pressed record.